Hey everyone, welcome to this weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast for the week of January 20th through the 26th of 2025. All right, so this week we have quite a few aspects, quite a lot going on in terms of how the planets are configured. But all in all, we are coming off of the heightened energy of the lunar month, which was early last week. Early last week we had the full moon, and so now we are starting to get into the third quarter moon coming into this week. So the third quarter is really good for implementing the full moon's insights and anything that's shifted around the full moon. And all in all, just really good to challenge ourselves and implement things. And we're usually more willing to do that here in the later phase of the lunar month in general. We have a lot of sign changes this week. We have Mars going retrograde back into Gemini. We have the Sun going into Capricorn. And then a bit later in the week on Thursday, Venus will be going into watery Pisces. So a lot of shifts and changes with the energies. Here with Mars retrograde, just good to continue to reflect on what it is we want in life and how we're asserting ourselves with this, and maybe more in the realm of communication and maybe more in the realm of practical life things in Gemini. The Sun in Capricorn does also add to the pragmatic energy. In this case, the shift of focus is going more in terms of responsibilities, more perhaps in terms of discipline, and more of that long-term view. Those are happening very early on the week around Monday. The Sun will be passing over Pluto with this, and so there could be some transformations, some deep things to transform coming into the week with that as well. But yeah, Thursday with Venus, Mars will also be sextile up to up to Uranus. So there can be some opening here for some of that assertiveness, some directness, a little bit of spontaneity can be good. Mercury's a part of this as well. And the weekends on Saturday with Venus, the feminine energy, trining in good harmony with Mars, the masculine energy. So we could see some, let's say, support there in terms of the inner and outer feminine and masculine. All right, so let's go and take a look at all of this here in more detail when we return. Alrighty, so here is the sky for this week. We're going to look at this for each day of the week, starting first with Monday, January 20th. And as you can see here, we are using the visible sky on this channel, which is very different from mainstream astrology. So if you are new to this channel, and especially if you're noticing some of the placements are different, like I'm saying that the Sun is going into Capricorn, and maybe you're expecting the Sun to start to be going into Aquarius right about now. So if that's the case, definitely check out that link down below on using the visible sky, what we call true sidereal astrology. Okay, so let's do a bit of a recap since we do have a lot of these sign changes. So let's go ahead and start with the Sun, which is the main focus, the solar energy, the yearly energy. So the Sun is finishing Sagittarius here around Monday and starting to get into more long-term Capricorn. So Sagittarius has been a good time to be open-minded and see the bigger picture of life and perhaps access some of that adventure of both the mind, which has been great for philosophy, maybe spirituality, things like this, possibilities and potentials, and also quite literal, a bit of adventure as well too is always good this time of the year. And that's still good, of course, even though the Sun is leaving, because Mercury is going to be still in Sagittarius all week and even into the early part of next week as well. So we definitely still have that more free-spirited Sagittarius energy. But certainly combined with that free-spirited energy, we'll start to feel more of the earthy, and in this case, long-term energies of Capricorn. So the Sun in Capricorn makes it now a good almost month to focus on building long-term structures, developing things like patience, perseverance, discipline, and seeing again that long road. So really good for that, let's say, climbing of the mountain that Capricorn, the sea goat, is all about here. So that's going to be, like I said, very early in the week around Monday. Venus is finishing Aquarius this week, is going to start to get closer to Pisces around Thursday. And so I would say the first half of the week still really good for connecting to the progressive energies of life. Venus here has been really good to connect to life and others in a way that's progressive, forward-thinking, innovative, visionary, and really challenging the status quo in many ways. So it's been great to maybe connect in the realm of the collective, maybe groups, friends, community, maybe innovative or future-oriented things, and that'll still be the case for at least the first half of the week. So Mars also at the beginning of the week here, though, with the Sun, is going to be getting into Gemini here. So Mars retrograde is still the main theme, which is about really being reflective on who we are and what we want right now. And so still good to be, rethinking how we're asserting ourselves, rethinking where we're putting our energy and our actions, and all in all, just being more flexible with what you could say that masculine side of all of us. Now, going into Gemini, it's going to likely activate more of the communicative or mental sphere. So maybe there's some things to go back and learn, maybe some things to go back and deal with practically. Gemini is all about the very left brain, which is usually like the more conceptual, again, the practical, the more scientific, putting things into concepts, gaining knowledge, gaining information, and seeing how it can be put to use. But also communication as well, as the twins Gemini is all about interacting and interfacing with our outer environment, which includes others as well. So maybe starting to reflect on things like our relationships with our peers, maybe our neighbors, our community, maybe our siblings, for those who have siblings. This can all be in that reflection as well. But all in all, it's the more, again, practical, mental, and communicative spheres that's good to start to rework and rethink. Again, especially in the context of how we're asserting ourselves and how we're directing that fiery energy. All right, so that is the planets coming into the week. As you can see, a lot of those sign changes happening here. So continuing here with Monday, which again, Monday is the Sun and also Mars shifting sign. We are going to have the moon in Virgo and starting to enter into that third quarter moon in Virgo on Tuesday. So Tuesday is the actual third quarter moon. That is the halfway point between the full moon from last week and what will be a new moon next week. Next week we'll have a new moon on Wednesday, and that'll start a new cycle. So we're very much seasoned in this cycle. We've had a lot of energy with it. The third quarter is an action-oriented phase of the lunar month, but not usually as challenging as the first action phase, the first quarter, when we first come to that square. So here it's taking action, but we're likely willing to do it. We're likely feeling a bit like we're able to do it. And it's all about implementing the full moon. So thinking back to a week ago, what were some different perspectives you gained on your life? Maybe there were some things you set out to do. And if that's the case, this can be an excellent week for knocking that out, implementing that, and healthfully challenging ourselves to move these things forward. So in Virgo, it's all about integrating the more improvement, refinement, perfection-oriented side of things. So we probably felt this already Sunday, but it's still a good early part of the week here for some of this, what we might call pragmatism, taking care of things, solving problems, fixing things, finding solutions, getting into the details or the nitty-gritty, as they say with Virgo, all very likely a main theme there. And that's going to be all the way until early Wednesday with the moon in Virgo. So the third quarter there on Tuesday. Also on Tuesday, the Sun will be passing over Pluto. So there is likely an awareness of that deeper world. Pluto is what they say, the ruler of the underworld or the afterlife. And the Sun will pass over this once a year. So when the Sun does, or when any planet does really, but in this case, the Sun, it is very transformative, can be. And so it usually comes with viewing life in a deeper lens, through a deeper lens. And this can be, the deeper dimensions of our external environment. It can be the deeper dimensions of ourselves, which is fundamentally what Pluto helps us do. Pluto wants us to see the truth. And the truth isn't always pretty. And the truth is oftentimes things that we've brushed under the rug, so to speak. And so now with Pluto, time to lift up that rug, time to be aware of those not so pretty truths in order to really reclaim personal empowerment. Because the truth is that These are all important things to us, even though there might be fears around them, inhibitions, wounds, insecurities, doubts, whatever it might be. And so by embracing them, being aware of them, and recognizing that we don't actually have to give our power away to these fears or deeper things, we can see that our power is already within us, and we don't have to give it away like that to externals, as the Stoics might say. So really good to reclaim that power, reclaim that sense that we are, in control of where and who and what we give our power to, right? What we make our well-being dependent on. And so Pluto helping us reclaim that power can be very transformative. So usually conjunctions are quite neutral, but there is just a, kind of a challenging theme about it because it's deeper, but not necessarily. We're usually much more willing to do it, much more easier to become self-empowered and really start a new beginning here in the yearly sense around self-empowerment, reclaiming power, seeing the deep truth, and of course with that, personal transformation. So that's all going to be there around Tuesday. Mercury will be squaring Chiron as part of this, just adding to the healing energy, giving us an opportunity there for healing that we can put a little bit of work into, a little bit of understanding into, maybe some things involving some of those communications or what we're thinking about can be healing, both in terms of learning right now, and Tuesday can be healing, communicating can be healing, and also just good to maybe learn about these kinds of things like healing in general. And that could be mental, emotional, spiritual, or physical healing as well when we're dealing with Chiron there. All right, so that's Tuesday, a bit deeper, improvement-oriented with Virgo in that more action-oriented phase of the lunar cycle. Moon will still be in Virgo, like I said, early Wednesday. Once we get to late Wednesday, the moon will shift into Libra, where the moon will be all day Thursday as well. And so this places a theme around balance. So how can we bring things into balance in our life, and oftentimes with interpersonal dealings. So dealing with others in the sense of doing what's fair, what's right, what's just for them, for us, for everyone. Libra is all about bringing things back to justice, bringing things back into balance. And this can be definitely in our personal and interpersonal lives. So just a theme around that on Wednesday and Thursday, late Wednesday and then all day Thursday. All day Thursday, we have a bit of we get some of that activation with Mars. So Mars will be sextiling up to Uranus while Mercury opposes up to Mars and trines Uranus. So this sort of configuration here, I would say most fundamentally is about being open to change, being open to new experiences. Again, while we're reflecting on some of those personal needs or how we're asserting ourselves these months with Mars retrograde, this is going to be, I think, a nice step in the right direction. A nice step in the sense that we can be listening a little bit more to that spontaneity, maybe mixing things up a little bit healthfully. Mercury is going to help us do this with, again, those communications or things we're thinking about. Now, with the opposition, there can be a little bit of balance needed with Mercury opposite Mars here. So if you do find that fiery Mars does go to over or under extremes, I think it's great to be mindful of that, conscious of that. And I would say if there's anything healthfully that is about asserting communication or using that fire when it comes to communication or thinking about things or mental energy or learning, right? Anything on that cerebral sphere that Mercury is all about. We can find balance with it. So know that the pendulum swing is natural, and by being aware of it, we can find the healthy, balanced approach, right? So what is assertive, but yet also receptive? What is direct, yet also open to receiving? And this can be a good way of balancing any kind of Mars opposition there, really. Okay, so that's going to be Thursday there. And then what I'll say here is that, I think that fiery nature, then it's all in all, on the generally more supportive side with the harmony up to Uranus. But once we do get to the weekend here, which will be on Saturday, Venus, that opposite to Mars in many ways, the feminine to the masculine of Mars, will actually be in good harmony. There will be a good trine there. So I think when it comes to being assertive and receptive, being direct and open to receiving, this is actually, I'm going to say, quite easier to do once we get to the weekend time. on Saturday. We could notice a little bit of passion in those relationships. We can notice a little bit of an ease when it comes to connection, to usually interpersonal stuff, which are these planets, interpersonal, but also again within ourselves too, just feeling like we are able to be balanced or just more supported with our masculine and feminine side within. Okay, so that's going to be the weekend there with that trine. Over the weekend, we have some deeper energy, just as a theme. Friday, the moon will be in Scorpio. Themes around depth, personal transformation, similar to that Pluto energy we talked about on Tuesday, but probably not as eventful, just a little bit of a backdrop there. Happens every month. Moon in deep Scorpio. Once we get to Saturday, the moon will go into healing Ophiuchus, and this is the healer constellation. So Saturday could be good for, again, some of that healing. Again, kind of reminiscent of Tuesday when we compare the weekly energy. But Saturday, good day for mental, spiritual, emotional, or physical healing there. And then once we do get to Sunday, we'll probably be feeling like we're coming out of that. We're coming out of that cocoon. We're coming out of that deeper energy a little bit and starting to get into some of this free-spirited energy of Sagittarius once again to close that out, to close out the lunar cycle that we had about Sagittarius. This whole lunar month was about accessing more of that open-mindedness and free-spiritedness. And as we now approach Wednesday of next week, this is going to be closing out the lunar month. So good to end things, complete things, finalize things when it comes to the monthly energies here. And just as a very minor backdrop, we've got a little bit of support. Venus sextiling Uranus, Mercury sextiling Neptune. Nothing major here, but I would say simply probably just easier to connect to the higher self or the true self over the weekend. With Uranus, a little bit easier to listen to that excitement, and with Neptune, a little bit easier to listen to our soul and what our soul wants. Okay? We're not forced into it. We're not pushed into it. It's an opening, but it is certainly available there. All right, everyone. So that was a lot said, but let's go ahead and just simplify this in terms of what is this week fundamentally about. So it is a third quarter moon on Tuesday. This is an action-oriented phase of the lunar cycle, which is particularly good for implementing the full moon energy from a week ago. As we get to the end of the week, especially into next week, we're closing out, we're finishing, we're finalizing this lunar month, and we'll start to notice the energies dying down as we do go through the week there and come out of that more action-oriented energy from Tuesday. Now, we have a lot of sign changes this week, which means there's a shift of focus. The shift of focus into Capricorn adds a little bit more of themes around responsibility, patience, discipline. Mars early in the week as well, going into Gemini, again, reflecting on communications, learning, more mental or cerebral kinds of activities in our life in terms of that reflection, okay? And something I didn't mention there, Venus going into Pisces, which is going to be around Thursday. We have a shift of values, okay? We have a shift of values from more of the progressive energy where she's been into the more receptive energies where she's going. This whole, let's say, weekend, starting on Friday, definitely starting to see the value of receptivity, going with the flow, being a little bit more at peace. Again, this supports this idea of ending the current lunar cycle, okay? So ending things, getting more receptive as well with a little bit of that added Pisces energy. Okay, there's a little bit of a deep energy about the week. On Tuesday, we have personal transformation with the sun over Pluto, and we also have the Scorpio and Ophiuchus moon on Friday and Saturday. Again, great week for healing, seeing the deeper side of life, personal empowerment. And then, by the time we do get to Sunday, I think a lot of this will be integrated. All right, a lot of the stuff that I also talked about is very minor in this, so I'm not going to convolute the general energy. I think that's the most important stuff about the week. Third quarter, completing the lunar cycle, a lot of shifts of focus, some deeper energy to work with, and I think starting to see the value of the more going with the flow or receptive elements of life, both personally and interpersonally, actually, as we see with Venus trining Mars and also Venus starting to get into receptive Pisces. All right, so everyone have a fantastic week. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to click the like button if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you haven't yet, definitely join us here for the live stream. We have a live stream here just a few hours after this upload every Sunday at the same time. Do join us if you haven't yet. And if you are already part of the community, I look forward to seeing you there here in just a few hours. But again, have a great week, everyone. And I'll see you all next time for the next astrology forecast. Take Take care.